Trauma that's going on right now with the oil spill and all the other problems that are out there, and of course the bill under consideration. I'd like to ask unanimous consent that I be recognized as if in morning business for 15 minutes.
Without objection.
On April the 22nd, a new EPA lead-based paint rule went into effect that has caused all kinds of serious problems, not just in my state of Oklahoma, but throughout the country. My office has received just an incredible number of calls and emails from constituents, from homeowners, from contractors, to landlords, to plumbers, all trying to get information about a rule that in most cases they'd never heard of until last week. I think everyone in this chamber stands strongly behind the intent of the rule, which is to protect women and who might be pregnant, the children and others from harmful effects of lead. With over 20 kids and grandkids, I understand that. But I appreciate the importance of the rule and the potential it has to further decrease lead exposure. But as even the Obama administration admits, implementation of the rule has been painfully slow and seriously flawed. Specifically, the rule requires that renovations to homes built before 1978 that disturb more than 6 square feet of surface area have to be supervised by a certified renovator and conducted by a certified renovation firm. In order to become certified, contractors have to submit an application with a fee to the EPA and complete a training course for instruction on lead-safe workplaces. Now, that sounds simple enough. There's one serious problem. That is that there aren't any instructors around to certify these people. And what's worse than that, those who violate the rule, that is, they go and they try to do something to their own home, if it was a home that was built prior to 1978. If they violate this thing, they could be fined for up to $37,500 a day. Now, just imagine how hysterical people are, not just in Oklahoma, but throughout the country. Now, there aren't nearly enough contractors that have been certified. That is because there are far too few people certified to teach the classes. That's why today, with 23 co-sponsors, I'm introducing legislation. It's S3296 to remedy this implementation travesty. This bill provides additional time for contractors and others to get certified so that they can become qualified to go ahead and do these things and not be subjected to fines. It actually extends the time for a period of 1 year or until the EPA can have enough people to certify people around the country so that this can be done. The need for the bill is on display in Oklahoma, where until yesterday no one was teaching classes publicly. Keep in mind, no one is teaching these classes, and yet if they try to do any renovation, they could be fined for up to $37,500 a day. I'm pleased to hear that the Metro Tech of Oklahoma City has finally received its certification from the EPA and will begin teaching classes on May 13th. I should note that because the demand is so high, they anticipate having full classes until July. Because access to courses is so limited, renovators and contractors can't be trained and they cannot pass along the benefits of their lead-safe work practices to homeowners and help protect pregnant women and children from further lead exposure. Without enough certified renovators, we will simply not get the benefits this rule can provide. Now, let me give you a couple of statistics to help illustrate the problem. As of April 22nd, that's implementation day, the EPA had only accredited 204 training providers. Those providers have conducted more than 6,900 courses. They've trained an estimated 160,000 people in the construction and remodeling industries to use lead-safe work practices. This is far too few people to ensure everyone who works on a pre-1978 home, including roofers, plumbers, painters, general contractors, or just individual homeowners, can have access to training to get certification that they have to have. Now, let me share with you a few examples from Oklahoma. Paul Kane, Executive Vice President and CEO of the Home Builders Association of Greater Tulsa, was in my office with a number of Oklahoma home builders the day before the rule was implemented. That would have been April 21st. During our meeting, I was pleased that Cass Sunstein, head of the Obama administration's Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, was available to hear from my constituents about their concerns with the rule. As the Tulsa World reported, and I'm quoting now, Kane explained the difficulty local contractors are having in getting certified, adding that only one trainer in the entire state of Oklahoma has been certified, and that person has been certified only a few weeks. Moreover, he told Sunstein that person is not offering training to the public, but is limiting his class just to his own organization. So we have one guy that can teach these classes in the state of Oklahoma, and yet there are literally thousands out there who are out of work until such time as they can go back and start working again. And I really appreciate the fact that Mr. Sunstein was listening to the concerns of my Oklahoma constituents. He told us he recognized that the implementation of the rule was causing economic hardship. He raised the possibility of providing a 60-day delay to help sort out some of the implementation problems. Now, in the end, however, this option was not workable, and we simply ran out of options to stop the rule from going into effect. Now, that was the day before the rule became finalized. But we certainly appreciate his attention and looking into it, and we're going to be trying to work with his staff. My staff also spoke with a property owner who rents homes to low-income residents in Tulsa. He has been unable to get contractors out to his properties to replace carpet or even paint because they don't have EPA certification, which means they could get fined by the agency if they work without it. So it's no surprise that my constituents is concerned that his housing units could fall into disrepair and that people would lose their access to affordable housing. Not just losing access to affordable housing, but exposing people to to lead paint. Additionally, we heard from a painter in Oklahoma City who has experienced delays in getting trained for the simple reason that his trainer has not yet been certified by the EPA. This issue reaches far beyond Oklahoma. There are a number of senators, Republicans and Democrats, who have expressed concerns about the implementation of the rule. Several members weighed in before the rule went into effect. Senators Byron Dorgan from North Dakota, Kent Conrad from North Dakota, and a bipartisan group of members of the House of Representatives sent a letter outlining these concerns to the EPA. During a recent EPW subcommittee hearing, Senator Amy Klobuchar urged the EPA to come up with a solution that will ensure that contractors have the opportunity to come into compliance with this rule. So we're talking about everybody. We're talking about the members of the House, the Senate, Democrats, Republicans. They're all affected the same. The issue has also been raised before the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee. In testimony before the committee on March the 11th, Bob Hembry, speaking on behalf of the National Association of Home Builders, raised concerns about, quote, potential conflicts between Homestar and the lead rule. You may recall that Homestar is one of President Obama's signature issues. It's a program helps homeowners increase the energy efficiency of their homes, but Mr. Hembry believes the lead rule won't allow the Homestar program to move forward. Mr. President, as you can see, there are plenty of concerns raised about the lead rule implementation before it went into effect. Nevertheless, EPA repeatedly said in the 2-year period leading up to the rule that it could meet these implementation challenges. As the ranking member of the committee with jurisdiction over the EPA, I wrote to the EPA 2 times, in fact, that I felt EPA appeared to be far from prepared. In both cases, EPA said they were ready. On June 3rd of 2009, a letter responding to my concerns, the EPA wrote, quote, I agree that both EPA and the regulated community have a great deal of preparation in front of us as we approach next April's deadline. I'm confident, however, that the 10 months period between now and April of 2010 will allow us to meet these deadlines. Well, that was a year ago, and of course it didn't happen. In a letter dated December the 1st of 2009, the EPA wrote me explaining that, quote, "We are confident there will be enough training providers to meet the demand." EPA does not plan to revise the April of 2010 effective date for the rule. The EPA also stated in the letter that currently the capacity for training is in excess of the demand, as several training courses have been canceled for lack of attendance. What they're saying is they've been providing all these people, but it's just flat not true. In light of this situation, what can lawmakers do to help provide the guidance for our constituents back home? First and foremost, we got to get the word out. I have raised the issue both in my travel around the state of Oklahoma and on Oklahoma radio. Last week, I sent out a Dear Colleague letter to all senators with information to help them navigate the confusion associated with the rule's implementation. Included are web links to EPA's website, which take constituents to important information about the lead rule as well as the rule itself. It also provides a link to the EPA and the Ad Council's new website, www.leadfreekids.org, which is a consumer-friendly web page with information on protecting yourself from lead. I'd also like to commend the coverage of the rule by the Tulsa World in my state of Oklahoma. The paper's reporting has informed the public and even resulted in more classes being taught throughout Oklahoma. Further, along with Senator Coburn and some 23 of my fellow senators, I've introduced S. 3296 to delay the implementation of the rule by several months, giving contractors, trainers, and the EPA breathing room to get more people through classes. The EPA has said that people have had a year to get ready for this rule. However, the first training class wasn't even held until June 16th of 2009, and renovation firms couldn't apply for certification until October of last year. Our bill would delay the implementation and give people a time to comply with this. You know, Mr. President, this is really, in a way, bureaucracy at its worst. We come out and we say that we're going to demand that no one is going to be able to do something to their very own home if it disturbs as much as 6 square feet, and if they do, they could be fined $37,500 a day. I mean, just imagine how frightening that is. And yet they don't have enough instructors to teach people to be certificated. So this is one that we've got to address. And I think the only thing we can do right now is get an extension. That's what I'm doing in this Senate bill. And I certainly call on my colleagues, the Democrats and Republicans, because the problem that I'm pointing out in Oklahoma is not just in Oklahoma. It's in all states. And we're going to have to address this thing and get something done, or we have a lot of risk out there. We have pregnant women who could be at risk, exposure to lead and lead paint, children. And of course, I think one of the things almost as bad is the fact that we have literally right now, only in my state of Oklahoma, thousands of people that are out of work because they cannot do renovation. Most of the buildings, most of the homes that they deal with are pre-1978. So it's something that's going to have to be dealt with, and I certainly encourage others to join this cause to relieve us of this problem. The rule will affect more than 70 million homes in America. The implementation of this rule to date has been a disaster. Congress is going to have to ensure that enough people are trained and certified. That way the rule can do what it's supposed to do, protect health of young people and of pregnant women. And with that, I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.